So before we get into our next collection type, I want to talk a little bit more about the differences between a list type inside of Python and a tuple type. And I'm going to do this by creating one of each, and then we're going to print out the attributes of both types. And that way we can compare the two lists right here. So back inside of Python, I'm back inside of my command prompt with the Python prompt here. I'm going to go ahead and create one of each, one list type and one tuple type. So I'll say this is going to be my lists, and I'm going to make it equal to, we'll just do the same. All right, it's just going to be some colors here. Then I'm going to do both, red, blue, and green. Now right there, that's a list. How do we know it's a list? We got the square brackets around it. I'm going to hit my enter key. There's my list. Now let's do a tuple. And what was the difference? Parentheses. And I'm just going to do the same. Red, green, and blue. All right, and I'll close that parentheses. All right, now I've got one of each inside of there. So now we talked about there's some differences between the two. A list is changeable. You can get in there and you can add elements programmatically to an existing list. You can remove elements from it. We can do all of that with a list type. With a tuple, we can't add after the fact. After it's been built, I can't add another color to that. I can't remove colors from it. We can access elements from both of them using their index, their position, but I can't change anything about the tuple. It's unchangeable. Now, there's other methods that are different between the two, and there's some common ones between both of them as well. I'm going to show you a neat little trick here through the command prompt, how we can output the list of attributes of each of the different types. So I'm going to bring in the print. First one, I'm going to print out the list methods, or the list attributes. All right, so I'm just going to give it a little header there. So I'll print that out, and then I'm going to print out the directory of my lists, of that object that I created there called my list. Now take a look. I'm going to hit my enter key, and here's all the various attributes or methods, just the buildup of the list object type. And if we look through there, we can see some that we've used. There's append, right? APPEND, there's append. There's clear. Let's see, what else did we use? Any other? There's reverse inside of there. And there's several other: remove, pop, insert, index, extend, count, copy. We can create a copy of a list type. There's sort inside of there. There's several methods that we can utilize inside of the list type. Now let's try this with the tuple. So I'm going to create a new tuple here. We'll call it my tuple. And I'm going to make this equal to, well, actually, I've already got one, right? Let's keep that. So this is going to be, let's print out this. Let's say this is going to be the tuple methods, more attributes, and so on. All right, so now I'm going to say print my tuple. Now let's get that a little bit higher on the screen there. Actually, I want to be able to see both of them there. So now I got my tuple inside of there, and if I look through, there's count, there's index. Do we got anything else in there? I don't see insert, I don't see reverse, I don't see sort, I don't see append. There's really not a whole lot that goes along with the tuple in comparison to the list method. Now, there's some pros and cons to this. A list is going to take more memory. It's going to be more resource intensive because it has those additional elements. Okay? Removing, sorting, appending. Unlike a tuple, that doesn't have that. So it doesn't have that as big of a footprint as the list object would have within your program. And also, we can consider it even a little bit of protection in there. I don't want people messing with the tuple. I don't want them messing with this list or this collection of data. So I store it as a tuple. then they can't add and remove stuff from that list or from that tuple, that collection of data. So there's some pros and cons to this, but just keep in mind, they're both collections of data. It's just how you interface with them that makes them different. What methods are available for you to utilize with that object? So even try this out. You can print it out, you can study them, you can see the differences between the two. I just use the dir keyword there to be able to output the attributes, methods, and so on about that specific type. Just create it first, and then you can output it. So hopefully that helps clarify it a little bit about the different types. We're going to talk about two more. The next videos, we're going to talk about dictionaries, and we'll talk about sets. And you're still going to see collections adding data, but it's just how you interface with them and how that data is stored that makes them different.